My name is Thomas. I am a successful budget manager for a large corporation and live a comfortable life with my wife, Meg, in a beautiful home. We have been married for over 15 years, and I have always loved her deeply. Our relationship has always been fulfilling, although our love life hasn't been the most exciting. Regardless, I was content with it. However, 2 weeks ago, during our weekly date night, Meg surprised me with some unexpected news. She mentioned Trevor, a co-worker of hers, who had shown interest in her for some time. Initially, I assumed it was harmless flirting and didn't think much of it. But then, Meg dropped a bombshell. She expressed her desire to go on a date with Trevor and have an intimate experience with him. I was completely shocked and hurt by her revelation. Tears welled up in my eyes as I asked if she wanted a divorce to be with him. She reassured me that it was only a physical encounter and that her love for me hadn't changed. Meg explained that she was curious about what it would be like with another man and believed it might bring excitement into our love life. Although I was deeply hurt, I desperately tried to understand her perspective. I wondered if I could fulfill her needs without her having to be with Trevor. However, Meg remained adamant about exploring this experience. She assured me that our intimate connection would remain special and unchanging. She believed it might even improve our relationship in the long run. I sat there, unable to comprehend the situation. It felt like a rejection to me, but I still loved Meg profoundly. I expressed my concerns about her potentially enjoying the experience more and wanting to continue seeing other people. She promised to be honest with me and explain her feelings if that were to happen. Overwhelmed, I decided to leave and take some time alone to process everything. Meg followed me outside and understood my need for solitude. I drove her home and embarked on a long walk, contemplating Meg's words. My love for her hadn't faded over the years, and the thought of her being with someone else caused me immense pain. Eventually, I reached a conclusion. I realized that if I prohibited Meg from pursuing this experience, it might create a permanent barrier in our relationship. It was a difficult realization to accept, but I considered the possibility that approving of her encounter with Trevor might save our marriage in the long run. However, deep down, I still feared that her actions would make me feel inadequate and not good enough for her. Late into the night, I returned home and fell asleep, exhausted from the emotional turmoil. The following 2 weeks felt agonizingly slow. We had one last intimate moment before Meg's date, and despite the sadness looming over us, our connection remained passionate. On the day of her date with Trevor, Meg came downstairs, looking stunning as always. She sat next to me and held my hand, asking for my final approval. Instead of supporting her decision, I confessed my feelings of hurt and rejection. I explained that I would always question whether she desired him more than me if she went through with it. Her eyes filled with tears as she asked if I wanted a divorce. I shook my head, expressing that living my life without her would be empty. I revealed that I had made changes to our accounts, transferring everything into her name to ensure she had complete financial access. Confused, she asked why she needed access to all the accounts if I wasn't leaving. I clarified that this decision was not an ultimatum but a choice I had made. It was to remind her that I loved her unconditionally, even if I couldn't fully support her decision. As we faced an uncertain future, we knew there were still many discussions to be had before she embarked on her date. Look, Meg, I care about you deeply. I want nothing more than your happiness. It truly is the most important thing to me now. I also understand that I can't handle this situation and just move on. So, in addition to a substantial life insurance policy, I have put money aside to pay off the house and ensure a comfortable life for you. She finally grasped what I was suggesting. She stood up from the table, her voice filled with panic. No, you can't take your own life. I refuse to believe it. She cried out. I spoke calmly, urging her to sit back down. With hesitation, she slowly sank back into her chair, her eyes filled with doubt. Meg, I cannot bear the thought of you being with another guy. I despise myself for not being enough for you. It hurts knowing that the one person in this world who means the most to me, the person I've cherished for all these years, doesn't find me sufficient. I am tormented by the fact that I am unable to fulfill your needs, leading you to seek them elsewhere. She began to sob, shaking her head in disbelief. I truly hate myself for that, and that feeling won't ever go away. The pain is unbearable. I need it to cease. I need it to stop now. I continued speaking, I believe things will work out for you. I know you well, Meg. I couldn't bring myself to believe that your relationship with Trevor would be purely physical. For you, intimacy has always been intertwined with emotions. When you have an encounter with him, even if you convince yourself it's only physical, you will inevitably develop feelings for him. You will yearn for that connection, and it will happen again and again. Over time, you will fall in love with him. I know this. It is only a matter of time. No, I won't, she screamed once more. You're ruining everything. Why are you doing this? I could have had a brief fling that meant nothing and returned to you with a newfound appreciation for what we have. Instead, you've made this all about you and your feelings. Have you considered how I would feel knowing that you took your own life because of this? Her voice dripped with passion. I believe that initially it will crush you. It will cause you immense pain because I genuinely believe that you love me in some capacity. However, I am also aware that you didn't just randomly choose Trevor. There has been a lingering attraction between you two for a long while. Please admit this to yourself. At least her expression betrayed surprise. I continued, what I think is that by doing this, it will give you the opportunity to start anew with someone who you can truly love for the rest of your life. You will begin with Trevor. As time goes on, you will fall in love with him. Eventually, he can move in here, and you will find happiness with him, while still holding a memory of me. Tears streamed down her face. Don't you see, Meg? This is for the best. I want you to be happy, and this seems to be the only way to make you genuinely happy in the long run. You are an incredibly resilient woman. You will move on from me. It will take time, but I believe that within a year, you and Trevor will find joy together here, in a way that I could never provide. She took a moment to compose herself before speaking in a softer tone. Fine. You wanted to prevent me from being with Trevor. You have succeeded. I won't go tonight. Are you satisfied? I will call him and inform him right away. She reached for her phone and began dialing. I instinctively placed my hand on her phone, urging her to stop. Please, don't do that. Stop. She ceased dialing. Confusion etched across her face. Why? Are you abandoning this foolish idea? No, I replied calmly. You should go ahead and be with Trevor. You not going tonight wouldn't change anything. My statement left her completely bewildered. But why? You're upset about me being with another man, and now that I'm not doing it, you want to stop. What is your issue? Allowing myself a brief pause, I explained. Meg, you need to understand. I'm not just upset about you being with another man. I am shattered because I know deep down that I am not sufficient for you. We cannot go back. The pain is there, and whether you go tonight or not, I know that eventually you will be with him because, as you said, you need to be. And I still need to end this suffering. This doesn't make any sense. You don't make any sense. I was honest with you. I could have chosen to have an affair behind your back, but I didn't. Because I love you, I chose to be open with you, and this is what I get. You're acting crazy. You know who I'm going to call? The authorities? Because you need professional help. Her voice once again filled with anger. I responded calmly. I am completely sane. I simply cannot continue living my life like this, and I have rationally come to the conclusion that taking my own life is the only way to end this pain, all while ensuring your happiness after I'm gone. Now, before you call the authorities, please just listen for a moment. What else? She asked. If you call the police, I will get into my car and go where I've already planned to do this. Also, don't worry about people suspecting suicide and the life insurance not paying out. If that is a concern, I have a significant amount of fentanyl pills. You won't have to witness it. I will take the pills and it will appear as if it was an accidental overdose. They'll find my car, see the overdose, and that will be the end of it. It's a simple solution for you, and you can have everything you desire. You can be with Trevor, have enough money to live the life you want, and you won't have to deal with this troubled man over here anymore. I concluded my words. A look of devastating sadness washed over her face. You're serious, aren't you? Yes. I am completely serious. It doesn't matter what you do now. The damage is done, and I am emotionally shattered. I won't be able to move forward from this with or without you. I paused. You need to go to him and begin your new life. I want you to. I want you to find happiness, and I genuinely believe that this is the path for you. Upon hearing this, she collapsed, her voice filled with sorrow. I never even thought about how much this would hurt you. I don't truly understand. I told you I still love you. I never stopped loving you. I don't want to trade you for him. I never want to marry him. Can't you accept that? Can't you see? Thomas, many men allow their wives to have affairs, and it even excites them. I actually thought you might be thrilled to be with me after I'd been with another man. I believed it could strengthen our marriage. I've read about other couples who have done this, and I have friends who have. They are doing just fine together. They didn't leave their husbands, and neither would I. Never. I listened attentively. Moving closer, I sat in the chair right in front of her, taking her hands in mine. Meg, I know you hold that belief right now. Even if I do believe it, you must understand that I am broken. Nothing can change the fact that I know you desire to be with someone else, and that I am not enough for you. I will never recover or move past it. It has destroyed me. I simply need to end this suffering now. And you need to go to Trevor and fulfill your desires. She clung onto my hands tightly, refusing to let go. I won't allow you to do this. I refuse. Yes, I contemplated it just once to see what it's like. That's all. But if it means your death, there's no way I am going anywhere. I am staying right here by your side until you abandon this idea and start to heal. We need to seek help immediately. Will you do that for me? Let me call 911, and we will go together so you can receive the assistance you require before taking irreversible action. Please, won't you try? I looked her directly in the eyes and let my hands relax. No. Being here with you now, I can see that you can't understand my perspective. It doesn't make sense to you. To you, I am feeling emotional, and that intense pain will stop if I can move past it. That's true for you, and that's what I mean when I say that you are a truly resilient woman. I admire you for this. But that's not me. I've centered my life around you and your love. I could attend countless hours of counseling, and the pain won't lessen at all. I will simply live in complete agony. I paused for a moment to let this sink in. I am asking you now. Please, if you do love me, let me go. Let me end this pain and move on with your life. Please, I am begging you. And the truth is, you won't be able to stop me, and I think you know that. But just like you didn't want to leave until you knew I was okay with what you're doing, I would rather not do this until I know that you will be able to move on and start your new relationship. Well, then you can't go because I won't. If I know you're really going to end your life, then there's no way I could ever have any relationship with Trevor because I would always know that my desire for him is what led to your death, she said through tears. Come on, Meg. You were willing to go and do this no matter how I felt about it. You made it clear that you needed to do this, not that you wanted to. I specifically asked you if it was possible for me to be enough for you and you not need to be with him. I remember well that you said no. I need to do this. This is what I've had to deal with. What I knew was you needed to be with him, but you never said you needed me also. I can't see where me doing this changes your need to be with him. Meg shook her head again. I only said that because I assumed that even if it bothered you, we would be able to make things all right afterwards. I thought even if you got really upset and left for a bit, we would put things back together. I had even decided that if you were determined to divorce me if I did it, then I wouldn't do it. If I had thought me doing this would cause your suicide, I wouldn't have ever approached it this way. I do need you. I need you far more than I want to be with him. I just thought I could do both, and it would be all right. Now I see it won't be. I didn't mean it the way you took it. Do you really think that I needed him and not you? Now I had to think. That's what you said. Yes, I thought that you wanted to keep me around to take care of you, but that you needed him to be your new partner and new love of your life. I stopped, and we sat for a moment, both of us thinking. Listen, I hear that you didn't really mean that you don't need me. I also hear that you still love me. I believe you. But I also believe that your heart is set on being with him. I've watched you the last 2 weeks, and I can tell how excited you are to be with him. How excited I was, she burst in. All that is gone now, obviously. All right, how excited you were, I went on. That desire is still there. You think that I will get over this and somehow get better mentally. But I know I won't. Just like I know you will never get over your desire to be with him. Let's say we just agree that this was a misunderstanding and try to go back to our life together. You know that won't work. Yes, you didn't have an affair behind my back, but you have been talking with Trevor. I think you know that as the two of you planned this over time, you both built up an incredible desire for each other. I bet you've had long, passionate conversations on the phone with him, haven't you? Meg cried and cried, but finally said softly, yes. The truth is, you and Trevor already have a very close relationship, just without the intimacy. You won't be able to just forget about it and move on. Not when you know he is there, wanting you and waiting for you. So, you're telling me you love me more than you could ever love him and need me more than you want to be with him. But over the last few months while you had me, you needed this connection with someone else. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, you are telling me I was already connected to him behind your back, just by talking with him and planning. All I can say is that I'm sorry. I guess I knew it was wrong, but that's exactly why I told you before we did anything together. It was just talk. You can't tell me I had some great relationship with him in phone conversations, Meg countered. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that you were right to do that. This nearly made her fall out of her chair. What? I continued, really. While I was with you every day, by your side, you felt the overwhelming need to reach out and form a connection with someone else. That's why I hate myself, and why I can't continue. The fact is, I'm not good enough. You do need someone more to be happy. I will never make you happy. You will always want him, and even though you love me, you will always long for him. Meg, as the person who loves you more than anything, I want you to go. I want you to try to find happiness in your new relationship and let me end my pain. You're sitting here now telling me you love me and need me because of the stability and life we have together. You aren't saying this because of the loving and deep connection we share. If that were true, you never would have needed to be with him. That's why I'll still provide you with the support you need. Please, go and let me go, I pleaded with her. Meg just sat crying. She still hadn't released my hands. We sat together for a while. I was thinking hard. My mind was made up, but so was hers. She said, "No matter what, I'm not losing you over this. You talk about never getting over this. If I know my actions caused your suicide, I will never be whole again. So if you have to do this, I understand. But you're taking me with you. We'll take that journey together. I'm sure you have enough medication for both of us. You have to die because you're broken, and by doing so, I will die inside. So if this is what has to happen, then let's go. We'll die together." This completely shook me. "Be serious," she just said. "I am. If I have killed you, then I will die with you because I have already killed myself and just didn't know it." "Come on," I said. "The woman who just 2 weeks ago told me she needed to be with another man is not going to end her life over losing me. What if I had not told you my intentions and just did it while you were gone tonight? What would you have done then? You would have pursued your relationship with Trevor, and I would be gone. You would move on. You would think I was crazy or secretly addicted to something and continue with your life and your relationship with him. Once again, I have to ask why this changes anything." What she said made me think again. "You really don't understand what you mean to me. You are so much more than just financial support and stability to me. I will admit to you that I got caught up in the fantasy of being with Trevor. But just like any fantasy, I knew the reality would never match up to it. You think I would have fallen in love with him, but I know I would have been disappointed and come back to you without looking back. My need to do this was my need to stop thinking about anyone else, not a need to be with him for the rest of my life. Can't you see that?" This statement really made me wonder. Maybe I had it all wrong. Maybe Meg really did love me only and need me only, and her being with Trevor was just a way to finally get him out of her mind. I thought to myself what it would mean if she really did just go and spend time with him once, and that would be it. If then she was committed to me for the rest of our lives without any doubts or other desires. I also remembered what she said when I asked her what if she enjoyed it, and she said then she would do it again, but let me know. I pondered it for a few minutes. All right, I'm not going through with it, at least not now, but under a few conditions. I finally said. The relief on her face was incredible to witness. She went from complete sadness to being calm in just a few seconds. "Of course, whatever they are, to keep you with me, I'll do it." "That's good to know. I promise you right now that if you do these things, I won't hurt myself in any way. At least until this is resolved," I said. She still looked immensely relieved. "I'm not sure what you mean by resolved." To me, it is resolved no, Meg. Look, you just said you need to process your feelings for Trevor before you can fully commit to me. She started to protest, but I continued. You just said you would do what I asked if I made this promise, so please just listen. All right, I will. If you assure me you won't hurt yourself or leave me in any way. So if your condition is a divorce or one of us moving out, then I can't agree to that either. We are staying together, and you won't do anything to hurt yourself. Then I'll agree to anything else you ask of me. That's all I need. And like I said, you have my solemn promise that I won't hurt myself or leave you. Actually, I promise you right now that I'll never divorce you or leave you as long as I live. So there's no need to worry about that, I said. Good. That's really good. Now, what else do you want me to do? Do you want to go away for a vacation together or go to counseling or do something else together to try to put this whole thing in the past? She asked. No, Meg. I don't think that will be enough for us to move past this and renew our love. The fact is, I will need you to still process through your feelings for Trevor. My main conditions are that you go and spend time with him tonight, and that when you get back, you tell me every detail about it and how you feel. I won't do anything. I will stay here and just wait. I promise, I said. The look of relief immediately turned to one of shock. I can't do that now. After all this, I can't go and be with Trevor. I don't want to anymore. I see now that it hurt you way more than I ever imagined. I can't possibly even think about being intimate tonight. You can't. I interrupted her. That is my condition. If you want me to not give up on life and you want me to stay, then you will go and be with Trevor. It's that simple. If you do not go, then I will follow through on my plan. You said you needed to end this fantasy that you had built up, so I need you to either do that or see if it is more than just a fantasy. She could not believe what I was saying. But I can't. How can I go and do this knowing how much this desire has hurt you? You can, because you know that if you don't, I won't be here anymore. I won't be here tonight. So you are going knowing all the implications of what you are doing, but also knowing that not going leads to something you don't want to happen. So dry your eyes. Put yourself together and go do what you had planned to do, knowing I will be right here when you get back. And you will have that chance to put things back together afterwards, just like you originally wanted, I said. But she stammered. But no matter what, when I come back, I will be here waiting for you. I finished her sentence. Your real question is, what will I think when you come back? I think we both understand that you will tell me it was just like you thought, terrible, and that the fantasy is forever ended. You will tell me this because you know that is what you have to say to keep me safe. So you are wondering, what's the point? You are also thinking that because of how you feel right now, no matter what, it will be a negative experience, so it won't mean anything. That may be true. We'll see. If it is true, then you come back to me with a bad experience and no more desire or need to be with anyone else. She slowly understood. She looked me in the eyes and asked, "This is really the only way to stop you?" "It is," I answered. I then looked at my watch. "It's 4. You need to get yourself together and go now." "Go on." She looked over at the clock on the microwave but did not move. Finally, almost painfully, she got up and went to the bathroom. While she was in the bathroom, I grabbed her cell phone, went into the settings and turned on her GPS tracking. Then I recorded the IP address so I could track where she was. A few minutes later, she came out looking almost as beautiful as she did when she came down the stairs a couple of hours ago. Except, gone was the spark of excitement that was in her eyes, and the corners of her mouth and eyes were clearly dropped down in sadness. She came over, I stood up, and she hugged me hard. She held me for over a minute before she finally let go, grabbed her cell, and went to the garage. I heard her car start, drive out of the driveway, and drive down the street. The house was then completely still. Even though I wasn't hungry, I made some dinner and ate. I tried to watch some television, but then I got out my laptop. I could not stop thinking about what had happened and the discussion we had, so I wrote this account. As I did so, I looked up a few times where she was. At first, she had just been driving around, but then she went to where she said they were meeting. So I knew she had followed through, as she knew she had to. I did need to know if she would completely do what she had planned or just say she did. After I tracked her phone to the hotel, I knew. After I finished typing what had happened, I fell asleep on the couch. I am not too sure how long I was asleep. It is now a day since I wrote the first part. After writing down everything to this point, I know I have to finish this now. So if everything works out, I will remember. Very early in the morning, I heard the garage door open, and I heard her car drive back in. In another minute, she was back in the house. She came in, put down her stuff, and came to sit down next to me on the couch. I looked at her, and she looked at me. She looked unsure, and still looked sad. Finally, she asked, "Do you want to talk about it? Or are you too tired? I was asleep for a while, so I'm fine. But if you are too tired, we can talk tomorrow." I answered, "No, I'm not too tired." I rested a little too. I could tell she wanted to be very careful about what she said. "Then we should talk about it while you remember. Besides, I don't think I could sleep now anyway." She nodded agreement. Me neither. "Before you tell me what happened, I need you to know that no matter what you tell me, I am not going to run off and do anything. I promised you that, and I will stick to that promise. But also, I know you, Meg. I know you very well. I can tell when you're being dishonest. If you tell me something, and I figure out you're lying, it will make things as bad as they can possibly be. Please just be honest, and I will be completely honest and forthright in my response." "Do you agree to this?" I asked. "Yes, I agree. And you really will stick to your promise no matter what you perceive or think?" she asked back. "Yes, I will," I said. "So what happened?" She took a deep breath. "You know how I felt when I left here. The last thing I wanted to do was meet up with a man who had caused us so much pain. But I also knew, as you said, that to end this and move on with our lives, I needed to meet him. In being honest, I will tell you that I thought hard about how I could get out of it. And I dialed his number a few times, planning to cancel and thinking I would just drive around and then go home. I knew, though, that if I went home without meeting him at all, you would know. But at first, my plan was to meet him, tell him I could not go through with it, then go home. Then I remembered what you said you would do if I did not follow through. So before you go on, you need to know that I tracked your phone. I knew where you went." "I thought you might do that," I said. Her eyes went wide with surprise, and I could see she wanted to be angry about it. But given the circumstances, all she could do was say, "I see." "So you know I met him at the restaurant?" "Yes, I know." "Go on," I said. "All right, we met. I thought about telling him everything that was going on, but I thought if he knew all of it, he might not want to do what we had planned. I could tell he knew I was a little less excited and more troubled than he thought I would be. He asked me a number of times how I was feeling. I just said I was nervous because this was the first time I had ever done anything like this. And he seemed to accept that. We talked for a while, and to relax enough to go through with it, I had 3 strong drinks. After a while, the drinks started to relax me, and Trevor reached over, put his arm around me, and asked if I was ready to go. At first, I pulled back a bit, but the drinks really hit me, and I said yes. "So how were you feeling then?" I asked, "aside from being drunk." She said, "I don't know. I had so many thoughts going around my head." I let him lead me out of the restaurant, and he left his arm around me while we walked over to the hotel. He had already checked in, so we went straight to the elevator. I tripped a little on the carpet because I was so out of it, and he caught me. We went to the 5th floor, room 511. I think we got there around 7:30. We went into the room, and we were intimate. Then I came home. Wait, I stopped her from thinking that was that. "Meg, I need you to tell me exactly what happened. You were there all night. It may be uncomfortable, but I need to know. You want me to describe what we did?" "Physically?" "Thomas, why do you want me to do that? It will only hurt you. I did what you told me I had to. I did not want to, but I did. Now I'm home, and we never have to talk about it again," she concluded. I just sat still and stared at her. "Meg, I need to know. I need you to talk about it. Only by you telling me exactly what you did will I know." She was getting a little upset now. "Know what? You know I was intimate with him. That's all there is to know. What do you want? Why would some graphic description tell you anything? I just need to know, Meg. I think you know exactly what I really need to know, and only by you telling me about it in detail will I really know." I responded, "What? You want to know if I liked it? If I liked him? You want to know if I still want him? Well, I can just tell you without all that. No, I'm glad it's over. I don't want to see him ever again. It's done." she said with finality. I still sat motionless staring at her. I continued to watch her, and as I did, she got fidgety. Finally, she said, if that's it, then I'm going to go to bed and try to get some sleep. But I continued to just stare at her and watch her closely. What she said. I think we talked before you left about how well I know you. We also talked about the fact that you would come back and tell me it was terrible and it ended the fantasy forever. I also told you just a few minutes ago I can tell when you're being dishonest. Listen, if you want to get all the way through this, keep me, and possibly repair our relationship, then you are going to have to tell me everything. Every detail you can remember. Do I want to hear it? No, but I need to. And if you want those things, you will tell me everything. I'm not being dishonest, she almost screamed. How do you tell someone the truth when you know they won't believe it? I will believe the truth when I hear it. But to be able to know, to really know, I need you to tell me everything. I need you to tell me exactly what happened. Then I will know, I explained. If you want to go to bed, all right, you can tell me about it tomorrow. I will still be here. Or you can tell me now, all of it, and be done with it. Meg shifted uncomfortably, her fear evident in her trembling. You know I want to be finished with this, she said, her voice laced with anger. Fine. Fine. If you really want to know exactly what he did and exactly how he mistreated me, I will tell you. But just understand that all I was doing is what you told me I had to do, nothing more. Before I proceed, I need your promise that you won't become depressed and harm yourself because of what I'm about to share. You need to know that I didn't want any of this. It's in the past, and I hope we can work on our relationship regardless of what you think of what I tell you. I understand. You were not willing, but you did it. I promise not to harm myself based solely on this one night and what you disclose. If you truly want to put this behind us and there is no emotional connection for you, then I will face the pain and try to rebuild our lives. Please go on. I responded. Meg calmed down slightly and looked down, her demeanor mirroring that of a shamed child. After a moment, she began speaking softly. All right. We entered the room. He could sense my discomfort, so despite being obviously excited, he kindly offered me a back rub to help me relax. At that moment, I just wanted to get it over with. But I wasn't ready to go any further. He had me lay face down on the bed and gently massage my back for what felt like an eternity. He moved his hands with both gentleness and firmness over my skin, providing a soothing massage. Surprisingly, his hands were smooth to the touch, not rough as I expected. The combination of the back rub and alcohol made me very drowsy, and I think I may have even dozed off for a bit before she could continue. I interjected, so it seems like he was mindful of your comfort. Recognizing the direction of my question, she simply responded, yes, I suppose, so then she resumed her narration. At some point, he began running his hands through my hair, then down over my legs. He continued this for a while. Interrupting once again, I asked, did he look as good as you expected? I know he's quite athletic, attempting to brush off the question, she replied. I think he looked good. I didn't get a clear look at him since my head was buried in the pillow during the back rub. She avoided answering whether his made her interested and continued, did this made you interested, I inquired. Pausing to reflect, she softly responded, I suppose a little. Then she hurried on. After some time, he began hugging me. He whispered to me that he was going to make love with me intensely. He then gently pushed on my shoulder to roll me onto my back, and we hugged again. We remained in that position, engaging in passionate hugging. You were quite interested at this point, right? I asked. She lifted her gaze, meeting my eyes, and hesitantly responded, I'm not entirely sure. Yes, I suppose I was, but all right, please continue, I reassured her. Meg carried on with her story. After doing this for quite a while, he reached down on either side of my back once again. I interrupted her, inquiring, were you comfortable? Confused, she replied, what? Trying to evade my question. Did he make you feel comfortable? I asked more directly. She paused for a few seconds before lowering her gaze to the floor and simply stated, yes. After a brief silence, she continued hesitantly. Do you really want to hear this? Nodding calmly, I responded, yes, I need to know every detail you remember, just as you described it. Please share everything you felt and what he did. Reluctantly, she continued, Thomas, we made love to each other quite intensely, and it felt good. Did it feel pleasant? I asked. She appeared somewhat puzzled. Pleasant? Yes, it did. I felt very fulfilled. It was like he was filling me completely, beyond what I ever thought possible. I could sense that she was holding something back, but decided to let it go. She paused, and I asked, did you have a good time? Without a doubt, she heard my question. She looked at the floor again, then stood up and went to the fridge. All this talking is making me thirsty. Do you want anything? Yes, I'll have a beer. Maybe it will help me relax a bit, I replied. Within a minute, she returned to the couch next to me, handed me a beer, opened one for herself, and said, yes, I really hope you can relax. You have to understand, this is difficult for me. The questions are making it even harder. Her voice trailed off. I'll try to be as calm as possible. Just so you know, so far you haven't said anything that implies you had an amazing experience and that you're going to love him forever. So you're okay, I reassured her. She could also tell that I was beginning to understand the events of her night with him quite well. You don't need to worry about that. I told you I don't want to see him again. Can we please call it a night, relax a bit, and get some rest? She pleaded. Without hesitation, I responded, no, Meg. I want to hear about everything that happened until you came back through our door. Please continue. She looked at me, weariness evident in her expression, and laboriously said, all right. Anyway, he continued making love for a while. Meg, you left off on answering the details I asked you about, I prodded. Thomas, I really don't enjoy going into all those details. You know that, she replied. I persisted, but I need to know. Every bit of it. She remained silent for a moment before finally nodding in agreement. Then, slowly and softly, she said, yes. Then she stopped. I asked, just once? Or did you feel great multiple times while he was with you? She didn't look up, and again slowly and quietly said, I experienced it twice. There was silence for a while before I asked, what happened after that? Not too much, she said, trying to think. But in her eyes I could tell there was more. Please go on. All the way until you were home, I said. She sighed like she was tired and uninterested, but eventually continued. Well, at about 1:30 p.m. I woke up to him gently massaging my back again. She stopped. I could tell with the beer and thinking about what she had experienced, she was starting to forget to be careful about what she said. Instead, she was getting a little excited. I'd imagine you felt pretty good. You did, right? I asked. She answered, yes, I felt good. She stopped again, remembering. After that, he passionately made love to me. Honey, can't we just say it felt good? I took her hand in mine, looked her back in the eyes, and thought about how I could reassure her so she would finish the story. Meg, it's all right. You're telling me you enjoyed it. I love you so much. I want you to feel good. It makes me happy to know you experienced so much happiness. It's all right, really. Just tell me the rest of the story. Her eyes refocused, and she seemed more at ease. Really, she asked. I nodded as absolutely honestly as I could. She stopped again, and I could tell I had put her completely at ease in telling me because her face was calm with her eyes half closed as she lost herself into the memory. I put my hand on her arm, and I could feel her whole body slightly moving back and forth. She opened her eyes completely, then wider, and stopped moving. From all of that, I just collapsed forward onto the bed, and he literally fell down on the bed next to me. Then he started laughing, and I got caught up in it, and we laughed together. I don't think anything was funny, but we laughed from the physical connection, I think. We were both out of breath and tired, and he got up and brought glasses of champagne that he had in the room. We sat up in bed and drank that and talked for a while. Then we snuggled down together and fell back asleep. At about 3 a.m., he put his hand on my shoulder and softly woke me up, telling me he was going to get cleaned up and that he wanted me to shower with him. I knew I needed to freshen up before coming home, so I got up and we went in to take a shower. She did not need me to ask anymore to get the whole story. Did you enjoy it? Yes, I did. He made me feel special that day. She knew that she had only done that a couple of times during all the years we had been together. This made her uncomfortable again, so instead of pausing too long, she continued. She was remembering again. Yeah, I was. But he knew how to be gentle and firm. You know how to too. It's not like you've never taken me there before." She tried to minimize it a little. I remained supportive and reassuring and said, "Glad I could make you feel that good too." "What happened next?" She went on. "We got out of the tub, and he slowly dried me off. We went back in the room and got dressed. It was about 4 a.m., so I said I needed to go. He walked me back to my car, and he gave me a long hug. Actually, if I'd have let him, I think he would have made love to me right up against the car one more time. He held the door, I got in and drove straight home. And that is when I walked back through the door, as you said, finally finishing it. And I am done. That's all." "I believe you. I believe you. Actually, I just want to tell you how much I love you for telling me everything and appreciate that you could be so honest with me," I said. Then I gave her a long hug. I sat back and said, "Now, Meg, you have said over and over tonight that is it. And I would totally understand you saying that solely because of what I said before. In other words, we still both know that no matter what else, you are going to say that is it, and it's over. Even if it was even better than your fantasy. We also both know now that it wasn't terrible or bad or not satisfying. It's not like I don't know you. You can admit that. Before you answer, I continue to promise you that if you are committed to me and love only me, then I will stay and try. I will live with the pain of this and try to move past it. So be honest with how you felt about the entire experience as a whole." She looked at me. She took a few moments. Then with emotion and sincerity in her eyes, she said, "I will admit it. It was one of the best experiences I have ever had in my life. But truly, I am done with it. It was just an intimate moment. I could have been connecting with a machine with how much it was just plain intimacy. Seriously, I love you. I want you. And I have no need to ever do that again with anyone, ever. Because of how much it hurt you. I wish you would not have made me do it. I won't lie and say it was not enjoyable. But it was nowhere near enjoyable enough for me to ever put our relationship in jeopardy again. You are the love of my life, and will stay that way." She then leaned forward and hugged me tightly. We sat back, and I said, "All right, you have me. You do know how much it hurts to know you wanted to be with another person that much. But nothing you said told me there was some incredible emotional connection between you. I mean, you could have just been with him once and left as quickly as possible. But I think we both know that would not have been enough to maybe get this desire out of you, so maybe you can move on completely from it. Given everything you've told me, I believe that you can. I believe that we can. I am hurting, but I'll be all right in time if you remain devoted to me, and only me. Now let's try to get some rest." We went to bed, and both fell sound asleep, having reached a real agreement. I wanted what I had written so far to be the end of the story. It is now Saturday afternoon, exactly 6 weeks since that fateful day when my wife of 15 years told me she needed to be with another person. We came through that afterwards and reached each other emotionally more than we had in a long time. I thought that would be it, and I was starting to heal my damaged self-worth. But this morning, everything changed faster than I could have ever thought. We got up around 8 a.m. and were having breakfast. While we ate, she was texting a little. There was nothing new about that. She often had her cell phone out, and she always let me read over her shoulder, so I never had any worries. It was always just her friends talking about shopping or what they were up to. But this time I noticed she held the phone a little bit up, and when I tried to look over her shoulder when I got up to get some coffee, she abruptly put the phone down on its face. I still didn't really think anything of it until she got up to use the bathroom and took her cell with her. She never did that. Every morning she would text a little, catching up with friends, then put the cell onto the charger next to the coffee maker. I noticed she took her phone with her and wondered what was up. When she came back, I asked her if everything was all right because she never took her phone to the bathroom. She just said, "Yes, everything is fine. It's just that Anna and Margie want to go shopping for shoes this morning and want me to come along because they like my eye for style." Meg did have a pretty good eye. All of her friends depended on her to help them find the best clothes, so it all seemed fine. I did notice, though, that while she was telling me this, her cell vibrated again with another incoming text that she did not look at with me sitting there. We finished breakfast, and she said she was going to go take a shower and get ready to go. I told her I was going to go out for a walk. I put on my shoes and headed for the door as she headed for the bedroom. I waited by the front door until I heard the water turn on, and I heard her step into the shower. I then quietly went back to the bedroom, and there on her dresser was her cell. I picked it up and entered her security code, but I found she had changed it. I guess I wasn't that surprised. I mean, since I had used it to track where she was, I am sure she wanted a little of her privacy back. So I thought for a few minutes. The 4 digits she had used were 0419 for April 19th, which was our wedding anniversary. In keeping with this, I put in her birthday, 0614 for June 14th, with no luck. I then tried my birthday. Then I thought for a moment. I input 0402 for April 2nd, 002, the month and year of our marriage, and the cell opened. I went immediately to the texting app and the last set of text messages. I opened them, and my heart immediately dropped to the floor. There it was. There were texts throughout the month. Then, starting early this morning, the conversation was, "When can I see you again? Come on, please, it's been a month." "I need to be with you," her response. "I don't know. It's hard right now. I told you when we were together that it would be a while. I need to make sure I make things right with my partner. I don't care about him. I want you so bad. I need to see you. Do you still want to be with me?" Her response, "You know I do. You made me feel like no one else ever has. I want that badly. But baby, we need to be super careful." "Okay, let's be careful. Do something you would normally go do, and I will meet you there. I have to see you. Can't you break away for just a couple hours today?" "I shouldn't. He might suspect something." She wrote, "He won't. Besides, he already knows we were together. What's the big deal? When it is a big deal, I still care about him. I can't hurt him. He said he would ruin his life if I cheated. I will not have that on me." She responded, "After a month, he won't suspect me. Besides, do you really think he would ruin his life? I think you just don't want to see me." He followed this with another text, "I need it. If you don't want to be with me, I will move on. Should I be finding someone else?" She responded within 10 seconds on this one. "No, please, I want to be with you more than anything. I'll make it up to you. You know I can. You can make it up to me by seeing me today. Make an excuse. I don't care. But if you want to keep me, prove it. Let's meet at the Neiman Marcus women's shoe section at 10 a.m. I'll only have a couple of hours, so you better arrange something close for us to be alone. Don't worry about it. I got it covered. I am so excited to see you. See you at 10. That was it. It was over. I carefully put the phone back down and left the house. I watched from a block away until she left, then went back. I made sure everything was in order, grabbed my computer and the other things I needed. Finally, I wrote a short letter, put it on the dining room table and left. "My name is Thomas. I have a good job, a nice home, and am generally a good person. Until 6 weeks ago, I was happily married to a beautiful woman who I love completely, and who I thought loved me as much in return. But I was wrong. Now I am a broken man sitting in the far reaches of a Sevence parking lot, having taken enough pills to end my life twice over. This story I am sending you to be published is my final act. It is my one way to tell the world who I was, and to caution those out there who are in a good and loving relationship. If you think you can go off and be with someone else and it will all work out, think hard first. You may be hurting someone more than you think, and they may break permanently. I did. The final letter. My dearest Meg, this morning I found the messages to Trevor on your phone. You know where I have gone. Please don't be sad about this. It is for the best. Even as I write this, I love you more than I could ever tell you, and more than my life. As promised, I waited to do this until I knew, and now it is clear that your greatest chance at real happiness is with him. All of the financial arrangements are made. You will be free to live your new life with him and find what I could not give you. And know that if there is any part of us that lives on beyond death, then there is someone out there that will love you until the stars go dark and there is only nothingness left.